Hi, I'm your host Bill Brewer, and thanks for joining us on The Community Producers, a monthly program produced by community volunteers like myself. We begin this month in Kimberley, where the Kimberley Dynamiters are celebrating their bronze medal finish at the Cyclone Taylor Cup and their second KIJHL championship in the past 4 seasons.
McKenzie stays with his man. Farmer comes inside, looks, dangs it to the middle, takes a shot and scores!
It wasn't the result the Kimberley Dynamiters had hoped for to close out their 2017-18 campaign. However, a 7-1 victory against the Campbell River Storm was a positive way to end a remarkable season.
The message going into the bronze medal game was to win it and play your hearts out for the 20-year-olds and the guys who we knew weren't going to be coming back.
We told ourselves, we don't want to end this season on a bad note after all the success we've had, and we said, I would rather have a bronze medal than lose in the gold and have silver.
The result was redemption for the Nitros, who had given up 9 goals against the Storm just a day earlier.
That definitely felt good, beating them. We definitely wanted some, revenge, to prove we can play with them, and I think we did that.
The Dynamiters would finish the regular season with 37 wins, 7 losses, 1 tie and 1 overtime loss, the best overall record in the league.
Winning is fun. Everybody will say that. There's nothing like winning games, and there's nothing like winning big games.
They would then go 16-5 in the postseason, clinching the KIJHL title in Revelstoke April 6th, a night 20-year-olds Mason Palega and James Farmer will never forget.
We had all the 20s on the ice for the last 30 seconds of the game. We already knew it was over, and it's honestly indescribable.
It's one of the best feelings I've had, and it's just I'm still speechless about it. It gives me goosebumps.
Making the result even sweeter was the fact that both Farmer and Palega had already tasted championship defeat. Farmer 2 seasons ago with the Dynamiters, and Palega last season with the Chase Heat.
That's all I could think about all year, really. But as soon as I got to the finals, that's when I really had the pressure on, because I just didn't want my career to end with another loss in the finals.
So that was pretty heartbreaking, and I'd never want to experience that again. So I was definitely trying harder to make sure I never had to go through that.
Head coach Derek Stewart attributes the team's success to strong goaltending and a solid mix of veterans and rookies.
Our 5 20-year-olds were key players on the ice and key leaders off the ice, and then we had 4 or 5 18-year-olds that really chipped in. 3 of the forwards, I believe, were in the top 5 rookie scoring in the league.
Everybody knew their role and played their role, and no one tried to make it all about them, and we really played for the team.
Not to mention the off-season acquisition of Palega, the 6'2", 194-pound defenseman was a dominant force on the blue line all season long and throughout the playoffs.
For my money, when he's playing like he can, he's the best player in this league that I've seen, hands down. And for him to play like that the entire KIJHL playoffs was a huge reason why we had the success and won the championship.
2 strong seasons for the Nitros has seen 19-year-old goaltender Cody Campbell earn a scholarship with the University of Central Oklahoma.
It's always been a dream of mine to be able to play college hockey, and I'm very happy that it's going to be there, and that Kimberley Dynamiters organization gave me the opportunity to reach my dream.
Now, with another banner to hang from the rafters, Kimberley will look to build on their winning culture next season, a culture which began with former head coach Jerry Banks.
It's really important that I think we have key local players on the team that understand the tradition, and they understand what Jerry instilled here a few years ago, and can help carry that along with us for the new guys that come in.
It was one of the reasons why I chose this organization out of midget, and I wanted to go somewhere where I have an opportunity to win a championship, and I think there's a lot of players in our dressing room that feel the same way, and they chose Kimberley as their place to grow as a junior hockey player because of the success they've had.
For the community producers in Kimberley, I'm Layla Gross.
Up next, a program which is using Quilts of Comfort to help veterans heal.
In 2002, following 3 years of service as a combat engineer in the Canadian Armed Forces, Kyle Dallum would leave the military and return to everyday life, something which would prove more difficult than he ever could have imagined.
There was no normal everyday life for me. It was a lot of drinking, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration.
He was scared, angry, lonely, miserable. I feared for his safety.
The symptoms were the result of post-traumatic stress disorder, something Dallum still deals with today. In the spring of 2016, while taking part in an equine rehabilitation program, he was presented a handmade quilt, a simple gesture, but one which would have a profound impact on his recovery.
For nearly a decade after I got out of the military, there was no recognition of anything. You know, I never heard thank you for your service or anything like that. This is a reminder that there are people out there that care and have a personal connection to the services.
Inspired by the impact the quilt had on her son, Cindy Posnikoff would eventually start a local branch of nationwide organization, Quilts of Valor, and has since presented more than 30 quilts to local veterans.
We present Quilts of Valor, and they are made with love and hugs by the quilters. It's all about supporting and advocating for these guys and women, and part of that is showing appreciation.
Each quilt is hand-sewn and paid for by volunteer quilters like Audrey Johnston and her group, the Material Girls, who were excited to be involved.
Hearing about the people that Cindy works with and realizing that a lot of them felt quite alone and that they hadn't received a lot of recognition. So it's nice to be able to give something back and show some kind of appreciation.
It's just knowing that you're having this impact. I'm doing something that I love. You know, they joined the Army out of love for our country. I think a quilt is like one of the best ways to thank a person.
We all have family that have served, so it's been really good sharing those stories, and it brings it really close to home.
We've talked about our families the whole time. We laughed and we were singing, and there is so much sewn into this quilt.
The group is now working on their second project, a series of hug blocks which, when complete, will be distributed across Canada before being assembled with other hug blocks, forming a cross-Canada Quilt of Valor.
Something I'm making is now could end up in a quilt that is given to someone anywhere in Canada.
Since 2006, more than 11,000 quilts have been presented through the Quilts of Valor program, serving as a constant reminder for veterans like Dallum that people care.
I think for anybody who is feeling so alone and so outcast, having this kind of a reminder is one of those things that can be a real positive tool with their recovery and their treatment plans.
For more information or to get involved in the program, visit quiltsofvalor.com. For the community producers in Kimberley, I'm Donna Granger.
Over to Dennis Walker now, who recently sat down with Miss Teenage Kootenay, Jade Cheung.
We're in the K-City Theater here in Cranbrook and catching up with a very ambitious young lady. Jade Cheung joins us. Hi, Jade.
Hi.
Last time we spoke, it was on radio about exactly why you're here today. Tell us about the sash and the crown.
Well, the sash and the crown, I won it from the Miss Teenage BC competition, which was in March. And pretty much I placed in the top 10 or 9, whatever it was. And now I get to move on to the national competition, which is in August. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Did you think this was all going to happen? You'll have to tell the story about how you got into this, because really, people close to you didn't know what you were trying to do or trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah, so I heard about it from a friend, and she was just telling me about the competition. I thought that it was really interesting. So I decided to go and apply online for it, because that's how you do it. So then they accepted me to get into it, and I told my parents, I'm like, hey, so I got accepted into the Miss Teenage BC competition, and they weren't even mad. They were just very excited for me that I did something.
Has it been different than you thought? In other words, the commitment to it, the fundraising between now and August, and we'll talk more about that going to Toronto, but has it turned out the way you thought it was going to be like?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We have a GoFundMe page. You can find it at Miss Teen Kootenay 2018. And I have a Facebook page. You can find it from there too, at Miss Teen Kootenay. And yeah, so the fundraising is pretty easy.
What happened at the competition in Richmond to get you to this point that you think maybe gave you the edge or got you to where you are now? Were you playing music? Did you do entertainment then?
So for the regional competition, there isn't a talent portion for it, but you spend a day training, learning how to walk and how to project your voice and just pretty much learning the whole routines. There's dancing and it's pretty fun. And then you say a platform at the competition, just saying what you stand for.
Does it feel different for you now, and do people treat you differently at school?
No, it's pretty much the same. So,
what will happen in Toronto? You mentioned there was no talent competition at the provincial level. What will you be doing when you hit the stage at the national event in Toronto then in August?
So yeah, there's a talent optional for the national competition. It's not mandatory, but you can definitely do it and get yourself ahead of the game pretty much. So I am planning on doing it. So I sing and I play ukulele. So I'm going to be singing a song.
Will there be impromptu questions as well?
If you make it into the top 5, they ask you questions during the show. So, but on stage for the regular time of the competition, there's no just improv questions.
Is it a little bit overwhelming knowing you're going to go to Toronto? Have you been to a big city like that before?
Yes, I have before. I have family in Toronto, so we go there pretty much every second summer.
Right.
Yeah.
So you must practice walking, waving, presenting yourself.
Yes.
What regiment do you go through when you're at home or at school? Because you probably have to keep this in your head all the time then.
Well, I do some modeling too, though, besides this competition. So I've had lots of practice before, so I don't have to think about it or worry about it too much anymore. I used to before, but now I just remember it.
Is there a movie star or somebody famous that you consider to be quite beautiful and eloquent in speaking that you're maybe looking to right now just to model yourself the way you want to then?
Yeah, I've always looked up to Zendaya as a role model for me because she sings and she acts and she's very beautiful, and that's somebody that I want to be someday.
Going back to Richmond again, and just one more time because I just love that story, but when you finished there, did they make a big announcement on the stage after? How did it climax up to where you knew that you had won and you were going on to a national level then?
So all the girls go back onto the stage and they call them up one at a time, saying their name and if they're moving forward to the national competition. So they called a few names before me, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what if I don't get picked or not? But then I did, and they just said yeah, Jade Cheung, who's going to be moving on to the national competition. I was so relieved though when my name got called.
Sounds like the most practice you're getting a rehearsal is being a model.
Well, yeah.
In between time, because you'll have to do that before August.
Yes.
What's the prep when you get there? What happens when you get to Toronto, or have they told you much about that at this time then?
Yeah, so you spend a week just rehearsing all of the dancing and the walking and what you're doing the whole time, and it's really more about bonding with the other people too, and where everyone is from, making friends too. It's not just a straightforward competition. You make friends, and people my friend that told me about the competition, she told me that her friend who she roomed with, she's still friends with them now, and they're best friends.
This will be an experience you'll probably never forget.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck in Toronto. Just one more time where people can help you get to Toronto then.
So you can go to my GoFundMe page, which is Miss Teenage Kootenay 2018, and you can find me there. You can donate money, and I'll also be looking for sponsorships and just looking for people who would like to donate money to me to my fund. I don't know, my fund, and and if not, then they can give me items, and I could do silent auctioning on my Facebook page, which is Miss Teenage Kootenay.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Miss Teenage Kootenay, Jade Cheung from Cranbrook, getting set to head off to Toronto for the national event. We look forward to that too on Community Producers today.
That's all the time we have here on this episode of the Community Producers. I'm Bill Brewer. Thanks for watching.